Now let me bring you back quickly to the keynote before we part ways for lunch. And here I would like to call a lovely lady in the house, Nikita Sinha. She is here as our keynote speaker number 2. Making customer service and experience smarter is the topic for her. She's the head customer experience and service planning, JSW Morris Garage, India. She's experienced in after sales strategy, business planning and service marketing at JSW MG Motor India, contributing to initiatives like MG Shield, RSA program and front-end empowerment. Previously associated with Nissan Motor India, Tata Motors and Volvo Aisha, driving customer delight, productivity and profitability. Ma'am, it's an absolute delight. We are happily giving you the entire stage and our lovely audience. Over to you now. And please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Anuj, for having me here. What I'll be talking about from an after-sales perspective is a little bit connected to what all we've covered till now. To talk about MG as a history, as you can see on the portfolio, in the 9 successful launches that we've had in the 6.5 years. So number 1, the cars are connected. Number 2, majority of our portfolio is EV. Now, with majority of our cars on ground being both connected and EV, the challenges and the expectation that we face are very, very different from what a conventional ICE customer or a conventional ICE OEM has been facing till now. So, I'm covering my entire ideas in 3 basic points. So, number 1, I'll be talking about the role of telematics and the role of the software-defined vehicles that we were just talking about in the after-sales context. Number 2, what we can do or what we need to be doing on when it comes to EVs. And number 3, looking at the portfolios of EVs and connected vehicles, when we are seeing, and somebody was pointing out, is this a boon or will it impact the workshop business negatively or positively? I believe, yes, there will be some negative impacts coming down due to some of the areas which I'll just talk about. But then, is that the end? Is there something else that we can do? And that is where I will cover an initiative that we have recently launched, which is the eHub by MG. To the first topic, leveraging the telematics and AI is something that we've been dedicatedly working on, especially in the last approximately 2 years. With the number of cars that we have on road which are connected, it is not just the data that we capture when the cars come for service. There is a lot of data getting generated on ground. I mean, to give you a typical number, every 10 seconds, one car line generates about 1700 data points every 10 seconds. That is not data that we at our end can basically handle just looking at the volume of it. We need experts. We need ideas as to how and where to use this data point. So a few of the areas that at MG we've worked upon. Number 1 is we have a very typical way of, telling the customer that your car is due for service. How do we do it? We see their running history when the cars come for service. We capture the kilometers and the date. And number 2, we know the age of the vehicle. But why depend on that when your cars are connected and you have a live odometer in front of you from the customer? So this is something that we recently launched about 4 months ago. The service due now that we are now calculating is so accurate that when we call the customer, typically, when the workshop people will call a customer and they'll say, sir, your car is due for a 20,000 service. The customer will say, I have only driven 8,000 kilometers. Why are you calling me for a 20,000 service? So that accuracy has now built in. So when the dealer is talking to the customer, they are giving a much accurate need of the service. They are able to define what parts they need to replace. And that is where the customer expectations are very well set. That is one part. The other part in terms of using these data points is looking at building predictive maintenance needs. Now, predictive maintenance is something that probably globally everybody has been working on for the last 10-15 years. But it is not something that has really taken shape as too much. But with the connected features and the connected data points that you have, and with partners available in the market who are able to model these data points and throw out the right predictive service need for a customer, there is no longer something which is now getting a little redundant, which is called the scheduled services. Scheduled services is there, yes, but the customers no longer expect ki, okay, when I go, an advisor will typically tell me that, okay, these are the services that you need to do. The need of the service can become more personal to each and every win. And that itself can throw an output to the advisor to say, when this particular car comes to you in the next 45 days, these are the 3 things you need to pitch. It can be a brake pad, it can be a wiper, it can be any other component. So that is one part of the predictive maintenance that slowly and steadily as an organization we are building upon, and looking at globally also, that is one of the areas where a lot of manufacturers are now working towards. To give a very simple example, in BMWs and in Teslas, in terms of EVs, they are straight away telling their customers there is no scheduled service. We'll call you when your car needs a service. That means they know. So that is the level of confidence. If that is built with the customer, there will be no longer that hassle of, lost sales or the hassle of convincing customer. It will be so data driven and so personalized that it will be automated to them. The other part is basically understanding with this data point, creating a health score for the vehicle, which helps the customer define the right value of, say, insurance or financing, depending on his driver behavior and all, sort of like a vehicle passport. So that is another area wherein this data is helping us in the after sales business. And of course, from an OEM perspective, when we are able to, say, remotely diagnose or remotely know what is the concern of the car, or remotely predict what all concerns are going to come, it helps us know what all failures are there, which failures we need to work on, and then that optimizes our warranty costs. So the implications or the use cases for telematics is huge, but broadly 4 buckets that we have recently started, and we are just scratching the surface. I mean, we are nowhere close to really harnessing the 1800 data points that is getting created. So that we believe that as a future of after sales, from a data perspective, there will be a lot of evolution in the next maybe 5 to 10 to 15 years of the after sales business in automotive. Moving on, from an EV perspective, since our large portfolio is EV, and EV has this giant unknown animal, which is the HV battery. Now HV battery, as working with 6 car lines in EVs right now, we are working with 6 different types of HV batteries. So HV batteries are very different, their design elements are very different, their configurations are very different, which means their repairs are extremely different. And if we keep coming and we keep saying that, we will manufacture and we will only repair at our end, it is not something that is sustainable. We need to start repairing these batteries at the dealerships. We need to start repairing these batteries on ground, remotely also, as well as mechanically also. I mean, changing modules, changing their BCM, fixing some of the minor components. So this is something that right now, it's again, we are scratching the surface here. It is not something that is that easy to implement on ground, because number one, the skill required is different. And it is not just the skill available in the field. We ourselves need to skill ourselves to be able to tell the dealer manpower how to repair it. So currently, to begin with, approximately, this says 19, but approximately 22 of our workshops have recently been equipped to handle and repair HV batteries. We do give live online diagnostic and repair support, but the idea is for them to do it themselves. So that is another area which we believe that is not only pertinent to the repair turnaround time and the customer experience, but also in terms of a revenue generation avenue. Now, covering these points where we say that, we'll call the customer only when the car really needs a service. There's no set service. And then with the EVs, where there are typically very few wear and tear parts. I mean, the wear and tear parts that we typically find in a car, like the brake pads and the clutch, they're not there in EV. I mean, EV brake pads, in our experience, we are seeing they're lasting for about 80,000 kilometers. So they're no longer the wear and tear list of components that we had in ICE vehicles. So then how do we generate revenue both for OEM as well as for dealer? while also elevating the customer experience so that they feel that value for money when we are looking at these revenue streams. So one of the areas that we looked at was basically the charging infra and the associated anxiety that comes with it, which is where this year we launched the eHub by MG. It is an integrated platform which basically tells the customer where all the charging points are there, whether they are working or not, what are the charges. It allows the customer to pre-book their slots, make the payments on the app, and it also helps our own drive of installing chargers everywhere, because now we are connected with almost 80% of the charging providers in the country. So we are looking at using this platform to drive even more value in the coming future. So not just the charging, but even other servicing needs, other AI parts can be built it into a single app so that it generates value for customer and revenue for us and dealer. Typically, it helps a customer right now understand where the charges are, so you can plan your trip, you can accordingly book your charging slot, and you can basically have a long distance seamless journey in an EV. Majorly, it helps the customers, like I said, it addresses the biggest point of range anxiety. Secondly, from a charging person perspective, it gives them access to customers. So now the customers and the charging partners are connected to each other. And in terms of the government, it helps take care of increasing the EV adoption into the customer's mind. So as an ecosystem, and as well as for an OEM, it helps you cater to not just the vehicle and the service part, but the ownership entire journey itself. It helps us understand what all charging times customer are doing, where all the cars are getting charged, how it is getting charged. So that also gives us a lot of insight in understanding how we can plan the service journey of these vehicles. So more or less, that basically sums up all of the initiatives that at MG we've been looking at. The kind of portfolio that we have, it kind of forces us to drive value from alternate ways of servicing and meeting customer experience. So that's it from my end. Thank you so much.
No, you can't go. We love you too much. Way too much. Come back. Abhi na jao stage se. Ready, ladies and gentlemen, I need representatives from EXO. Do we have somebody? Yes, sir, please. And to do the felicitation of this lovely lady here in the house. Insightful and lovely that a lady here did the solo act for all of us.